And today, during the press conference with the Monetary Policy Committee meet, the RBI Governor Shaktikanta was asked a question about cryptos. This is what he said.
Our circular clarifies the position very well. As you are aware, the Supreme Court set aside RBI circular which was issued in 2018. But it came to our surprise that some banks were still referring to that and citing that circular in their correspondence with their customers. So therefore, we had to set the record straight that that particular circular of RBI has been set aside. So therefore, it is not at all correct to refer to that circular. And with regard to RBI's position, I have said it earlier, we have major concerns around cryptocurrency, which we have conveyed to the government. And with regard to advice to the investors, well, central banks do not give any investment advice. It is for each investor to make his own appraisal, to do his own due diligence, and take a very careful call with regard to his own investments. He has to take a careful and prudent call. The central bank cannot advise investors.
So let's put all of that in perspective. Joining us live on this edition of Startup Central is Avinash Shekhar, the co-CEO and founder at Zebpay. Thanks so much for joining us on this edition of Startup Central. Avinash, my first question to you is, how are you folks seeing this? Is it status quo? Nothing has changed. It's supposed to be up to the government. The ball is in the government's court. So after the RBI clarification that came out earlier this week, is it status quo?
Thanks, Nana. Thanks for calling me. Actually, we see it as a slightly positive step. I mean, what has happened in last 1 week, 10 days time? It has moved the needle from slightly negative towards positive or a neutral territory, in our opinion. As RBI Governor said that banks were taking a stand and they were referring to the earlier notification or circular of RBI, which Honorable Supreme Court had regarded as invalid. So what we see is that now with RBI clarification coming into, more and more banks will take a more cooperative approach towards crypto industry. And what RBI Governor said today also, like if you look at, like, there are two parts to the statement. Second is obviously from our side also, what we tell our investors or customers is that they should invest in education and take a very, very informed approach when they invest in crypto, because it's still a very young asset class. As far as the first part of his comment was that they have given their concern or communicated their concern to the government. So what we believe is that in any healthy democracy like us, there should be discussions with all the stakeholders, including RBI, including us as an industry. And then post that, the government should take an informed view on this industry, which I think recently the government has also said that they will form a committee and they will listen to everyone. So I think overall we see this as a positive direction, basically.
Government hasn't said it will form a committee. Those are media reports that have come out. It's important to distinguish between the two. But the other thing I want to ask you is that earlier this week, when you saw that important clarification that came out, what we've also heard is that banks, including HDFC, is a story we've been on top of, that HDFC Bank, for example, has been emailing its customers and saying it is officially retracting its earlier advisory on dealing with cryptos. That has happened. What I would like to know now from you is, let's talk about Zebpay. What has that meant for your consumers? Have they started getting access back to their crypto wallets, the deposits, the withdrawals? Can you shed us some light? Has that happened, or do you think that will still take a few more days?
So we have got some initial positive responses from the banks. Basically, they're still like considering internally. They have said that give us 1 or 2 days to process this. But the initial response have been positive, and we believe that I think next few days we should be able to get few of the banks. But we are still, like, at this point of time, we are getting deposits from the customer, and we are processing withdrawals to the customer. Although it's not like real time; it takes 1 or 2 hours, but it's still happening.
Okay. So, Avinash, what I would also like to know is that it'll take some time. Now, what the RBI circular has also said is the KYC, the due diligence processes, they all have to be done as per extant guidelines and rules, whether it's PMLA, whether it is Anti-Money Laundering Act, whether, other FEMA, for example, it has to be. The brokerages, the crypto exchanges have been saying these are already compliances that we follow. After we understand there is a move for self-regulation. Is that indeed correct?
Yeah, so we are actually self-regulating ourselves. In fact, we are self-regulating ourselves as an individual exchange since beginning. Recently, what has happened is that we have tried to formalize it as a association of all the crypto players, where we are trying to standardize all these KYC requirements. But as an individual player, for example, Zebpay, since 2015, we have been following the KYC norm, the AML norms with our customers.
Now, can you shed some light as well on what happened today? The reason I'm asking you is because of the meltdown that took place overnight. You again saw a lot of volatility, a price crash. I'm sure it didn't help that Elon Musk posted that tweet, right, of that broken heart, etc. What was the impact that we saw in India today, post the price crash?
Yeah, so actually, thing is that inherently, if you see that crypto industry has been, like, volatility has been always a part of crypto industry, and last 1 year, if you're seeing, the price has moved up significantly from last 1 year. There we have been seeing some volatility, but if you look at over any longer period of time, okay, you take like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, people have always made money in crypto. Volatility, my belief is that over a period of time, volatility is going down and will continue to go down. But as we stand, if you compare to other asset classes, for some time the volatility is likely to remain.
Okay. So the volatility that we've been riding on, and you've been seeing that now for 1.5 months, it has led to people being scared. But at the same time, you've also seen, more people looking at cryptos as an asset class. My final question to you, and the governor talked about this, that the RBI's position has not changed. What is that going to mean? Like, is there any, if there's going to be a digital rupee, for example, how is all of that going to fit in? While we all await the government's final legislation, we don't know which way the government is going to go as yet.
So actually, if you go to slight history, I don't think RBI concerns have changed in last 3-4 years. Okay, these are probably the same. Obviously, the governor has not elaborated on that, but I am assuming that they are the same concerns which they raised in the Supreme Court. And after hearing those concerns, the Supreme Court decided to set aside that circular. So as I said, that obviously RBI has some concerns, and as an industry, what we want is that we have a proper discussion, with all the players, in the market, and come up with something which is like acceptable to everyone, or to at least they take care of the concerns which the RBI has. So that's our view. Other than that, I think nothing has changed. I mean, for us, what has happened in last few, like 1 or 2 weeks is more on a positive side, what we believe.
Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Startup Central. We wanted to get you here to put the governor's comments in perspective, in the right context, actually, for all of our viewers and, of course, your investors as well who might be tuning in. That's the co-CEO of Zebpay, ladies and gentlemen, doing just that, putting the recent developments in perspective. With that, it's a wrap. Many thanks for tuning in.